if you have a passion for kids, you will do what's right to make certain our kids are successful, whatever it takes. I think that's the first thing.
Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome to another episode of The Path Forward. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez. We talk innovation and education. We're here at TASA Midwinter 2024. I've got a very special guest, Channelview ISD Superintendent, Dr. Tory Hill. Dr. Hill, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rick. So happy to be here.
Well, you know I'm a little conflicted, being that you're from Channelview. I'm a North Shore grad, but I've been following your career when we were in Katy together, and you have done some amazing things. So I want to dig into Channelview and all the things y'all have going on.
Yes. So I am so fortunate to serve as the superintendent of Channelview, my second year serving there. And our focus right now is to make certain that we're empowering all of our students to thrive. We have so many amazing things happening, from CTE to early literacy to community engagement. A few recent projects. We just rolled out our first literacy bus ever. And so now
you got to tell me what that means.
Yes, literacy bus. So we have partnered with LyondellBasell, who is a major partner in our community. They funded a actual library on wheels that will roll through Channelview on weekends, evenings, holidays. And it's an opportunity for students to get free books and from a bus in their neighborhood. So the idea behind the concept is to make certain that literacy is developed even before students enroll in school. We know students have to read on grade level by third grade, but that doesn't start at third grade.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're excited about that and just building that love for literacy across the community. And it's fully funded by LyondellBasell, so we're excited about that.
That is amazing. And obviously, we're all trying to find ways to make sure the kids are becoming literate earlier and earlier and earlier. And we get them, and hey, parents doing the best that they can, but that's amazing to hear. But I want to talk about how you got to where you are, meaning tell us a little bit about your your career path, and how you sit here now.
Yes. So I'm very fortunate. I was raised in Southwest Louisiana, a small town called Palmetto. My grandmother raised me. I was born to two teenage parents. My grandmother raised me, and she was an educator. And so each day I spent days after school in her classroom. So I knew early on that I'd likely be an educator. And so after graduating high school, I went to Southern University in Baton Rouge. I earned an undergrad degree in secondary education. And then from there, I transitioned to Florida A&M. Where I pursued my master's and I started teaching. I actually lived in Tallahassee, but I drove into South Georgia, Thomasville, Georgia. It was like a 45-minute drive.
Okay.
So I taught government economics, world geography in Thomasville while I worked on my master's at Florida A&M. And then I moved down to Miami for a little while, where I taught in Broward County. And then after that, I landed in a place called Katy.
So you went from Broward to Katy, Texas? All right, you got to tell me what the story is behind that.
Yes. So I told you my grandmother raised me.
Yeah.
And my grandmother was beginning to age, and I knew I wanted to be closer to Louisiana. Okay. I didn't want to go back to Louisiana. And there was a neighbor of mine who said, hey, look, if you're going to go to anywhere near Louisiana, try Houston. Even more specifically, try Katy. And so that's how I landed in Katy. So I got a neighbor of mine in Miami recommended Katy, Texas. And that's how I landed there. And came to Katy, and I started out as a teacher at May Creek. And then from there, I became an assistant principal at Cinco Ranch. And then from there, I pursued the doctoral degree at Texas A&M in curriculum and instruction, and was very excited to be able to complete that program. And after that, became principal and served as principal in Katy. And then after that, I transitioned to Clear Creek ISD as an executive director, served in that capacity for a little while, and then got called to come back to Katy. And I went back to Katy as an area sup, where I supervised 27 schools in Katy. So we were divided based on areas, and I got an opportunity to work with Alton Fraley, who is a great mentor of mine. And then when he retired, I actually transitioned to the superintendency. And so I was superintendent in a small community, 2,000 students, Sweeny ISD,
yes.
Which is Southern Brazoria County. And I had the great pleasure of serving that beautiful community for 5 years. Love it, love it, love it. Loved every minute of it. I served there for 5 years, and then transitioned to Channelview, where I am now, and I'm completing my second year there as superintendent.
So, I mean, we knew like, as someone that was coming through the ranks and looking up to the leadership when I was in Katy, we knew you were a rising star. Everybody told me, it's like, hey, if you want to figure out how to be a great leader, somebody to emulate, you need to talk to Tory. You need to see, and I could never get. You were always gone before I get. You were moving up. I couldn't get there quick enough. But you've had an amazing run, and one of the things that I wanted to ask you, when you were in Sweeny, y'all had a very unique career in tech operation there, and that's my passion, and I love every bit. And I was always jealous, like, how did they get that done? Can you just tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. Yes. So we entered into a 10-year naming rights agreement with Chevron Phillips. And so Sweeny ISD is the home of many petrochemical industries. You've got Chevron Phillips, Phillips 66, and several other key petrochemical industries. And so one of the things that we did is we partnered with CP Chem to design the new CTE Center that currently exists. It's actually the only Chevron Phillips Chemical naming rights CTE Center in the world. And so the idea was to partner with the community to pass a bond to deal with the actual physical building. And so that was done through bond funds, but everything within the building, furniture, salaries of teachers, all the equipment within that new center was all funded by Chevron Phillips. And then the 10-year naming rights agreement comes with an annual contribution to the district to take care of advanced placement testing, college and career military readiness elements, as well as vertical alignment programs that support CTE at the elementary and the junior high level. And so we also built a STREAM Academy at elementary and junior high that feeds directly into that high school CTE center. So we're very, very proud of that work, and it's definitely continued to grow, but a very unique an opportunity to be innovative.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yes.
That is absolutely astounding. I didn't know that it was to that level. I mean, I saw it, I read about it because I was always very fascinated, but to have it go down, because that's what we always usually miss, right? The vertical alignment down to the babies, because that's where it starts and kind of where we need to be thinking of how do we get them excited before they get to be juniors and seniors. How did you pull that off? Like, were there reservations from the board? Where it was like, how that just seems like, man, you really had to convince some folks like this is going to be a good thing for us.
So you know how I pulled it off? It was a joke. It started out as a joke. I was having a conversation with the plant manager, and I said, "Wouldn't you love to see your name on that building?" And I laughed, and he laughed just like you just did. And then a couple days later, he called me and he said, "Hey, are you serious about that?" And I thought, well, no, I wasn't serious, but I can get serious fast.
Real quick, yeah.
Yeah, I can get serious real quick. And so then we sat and had a conversation, and he said, "Well, you will provide our future workforce, but we really are only interested in petrochemical." And I said, "Well, let's think about Chevron Phillips. Do you have emergencies and need an emergency response team?" I said, "That's health science." I said, "Do you promote the work that you do?" And so that's our AV program. And so really I begin to sort of unpack engineering. I begin to unpack. And so in essence, after about a 2-hour conversation around each pathway and how they ultimately could still contribute to their future workforce, we landed in a very interesting conversation. And then from there, I had conversations with my board.
Right.
And then, of course, the community. And the board was very much on board, of course. But it started out as a joke. And it ended up in a 10-year naming rights agreement that will forever benefit the students of Sweeny ISD.
You are the first person that I've spoken to. I've spoken to superintendents in districts across the country, all over the place. You're the first person that's caught on to any organization that a district partners with. They don't just have that one thing, that one pathway. They all function like all the other businesses. You're the only person that's exactly all the CTE programs. We have something for everybody if we open it up. If we're not, just with the blinders on about, hey, it's just this for this CTE. a preacher to the choir, but no one has brought that out.
And that piece, if you develop a relationship, then you can get to that level of
Right.
conversation. That doesn't just happen, just
Sure.
from
And,
an
yeah,
introduction.
I'm making it like
Yes, but I will say this: the literacy bus in Channelview is the courting experience
Okay.
for perhaps maybe another project that is similar to that, because I've seen the benefits of that sort of an approach. And so I'm hoping that this literacy bus will likewise land
That would be awesome.
in Lyondale,
Well,
coming on board as well.
I mean, hopefully we can help you out a little bit. If it's been successful for some other students, perhaps the East Side could use it as well. No, I love
Yes.
that. I love that. Okay, so leadership. Let's talk a little leadership. You've had a chance to assemble teams in multiple districts. What are you looking for in that next principal, the next assistant soup, cabinet member? What's your prototype that you need?
Yes, I'll tell you, I'm looking for someone who has a passion for kids.
Okay.
That above all. I feel like if you have a passion for kids, you will do what's right to make certain our kids are successful, whatever it takes. I think that's the first thing. The other part is I'm really looking for someone to take my position. I'm looking for someone who aspires to be in the seat I'm in.
Right.
If you're if you're motivated and driven to continue to excel down your career path, that means you're going to come to the seat every single day with unparalleled passion
Right.
that will ultimately allow us to elevate. And then the other piece is just a person of integrity. We are called to do amazing work for kids. It's not a job, it's a calling. And I want people on my team who understand that and will never waver when faced with various challenges that
Sure.
may eventually come up,
Yeah.
but yet remain committed to the work and to the cause.
When you're coaching young administrators, whether it be your own or from other districts, how do you frame the work-life balance? And what I mean by that is there's a lot of talk about that. I always struggle with it. I think a lot of people have struggled with it. Is that something that you believe in? And it's like, hey, we're gonna when we're here, we're gonna be on it, but you want them to take care of their families and take care of their own mental health. How do you approach that?
First of all, you have to live by that
Yes.
in order to coach others in, because what we say has to match what we do. So if I coach another superintendent on work-life balance, but my life is out of whack, but I'll say first is to make certain that you make career decisions in partnership with your spouse. And always keep your spouse and family first. Your family is your first ministry. Really, your spouse is your first ministry. And so finding a way to always place them first, and if there's a way to build in time during the week to have a dinner or a date, do that. If there's an opportunity to travel with your spouse to a conference
Yes.
and the board, so that your spouse then becomes part of that. But it's not just about your spouse, it's also about yourself, right? Working out, eating healthy. In this work, we're going every day, all day. And so making certain that we're taking care of our body
Yes.
is critical. And then the last piece is just making certain you surround yourself with others who will hold you accountable to that, and help you stay focused on being best. There's a team of superintendents that I travel with sometimes, and also and our spouses also travel with us, and we make a commitment to each other that we're not going to talk work during that time. We're going to talk family. We're going to talk future.
Yeah.
And so having other individuals who are like-minded helps also to stay balanced when you're
It's a
in
support group to keep everybody on track.
That's
right?
correct.
To
Yes.
honor the commitments we've made to ourselves. I love that.
Yes, yes.
All right, so I got to ask for a little inside baseball. I was horrible at having the conversation with the wife. How do you approach when it's like you're thinking about, hey, this may be an opportunity, and you know how it goes. We got to move. How do you go about that? Because I got a lot of young administrators saying, hey, I'm really struggling knowing how to even start this conversation.
Yes. First of all, you got to have the conversation.
I was scared. I was scared. I'm not going to lie.
A happy wife It's a happy life.
Okay. I'm
You
scared to
gotta have
death.
the conversation.
Okay.
I think the other part is to really outline priorities with your
Yeah.
wife. Like, one thing I did is, I asked my wife, what's important to you? What do you want access to? And so when we made this last move, our daughters are out of state. And so we wanted to have easy access to an airport. We want to have, easy access to be able to go to restaurants if we choose to. We want to have easy access to church. And so what are the things that are important to you all as a couple and as a family? And then you say, okay, now does this town or city
Right.
provide that? But then you've also got to say, well, if it doesn't provide it, can I get it within X amount of time? So is it an hour away? Is it an hour and a half away? And then can we make those commitments?
Quality of life.
Quality of
Yeah.
life, and outlining those things. And so that you're, when you identify a community or a school district, you can sort of put it against that metric and decide whether or not this one fits. It is absolutely critical to your success, be it assistant superintendent or superintendent in any role, that your spouse be with you. And I'm not saying physically with you,
Yep.
emotionally with you.
Bought into where we're going.
Into it, because this work it's like being in a pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm.
And your only safe haven is your home.
Yeah.
And if your home is not a place of refuge and safety and solace, if your spouse is not able to assist you in that space, you talked about balance earlier, you will never be balanced in this role. And so that piece is absolutely essential for your success as superintendent.
We need more thought leadership on that topic right there, because that's a big missing piece for all. I would think for all superintendents, male, female, doesn't matter. Sometimes we think it's going to be easier than it is, and you're absolutely right. If your house not in order, everything else is going to fall apart. What do you look for in a board?
Yes, I look for a board who is focused on the right thing for kids, right? Focused on kids. It's hard to, quantify or
Yes.
ensure that
There's a lot of things, yeah.
There's a lot of factors, right? But it's hard to say, okay, that every one of 7 board members will be solely focused on everything that's right for children. But I look for how do they vote? What are their action items? And do those action items and the way they vote on those action items, do they really connect back to elevating the learning environment for students?
Right.
That speaks volumes. How do they spend their time? Are they in the weeds of things that really are not going to continue to improve learning for students? Or are they really focused on those things that really matter? The other piece is just making certain that the values of the board aligns with my values. And they don't have to be exactly the same, but I definitely want to be a part of a team of 8 that sort of aligns with my belief system, so that as we work together, I feel comfortable in who I am while I'm working with that team.
You've got to be you, and you start to vary too far from who you are. It's not going to work. It is absolutely not going to work.
Right.
There's a whole lot we need in terms of the next generation of understanding that piece of what do I need to be looking for in a board, because it's we all just want the job, especially the first one. You just want to get the job. But had I do over again, I would be a lot more methodical about what's a good fit, what's the right fit. Okay, last question, and not the last time you're going to come on as guest, but last question. You see how I threw that in there? What is on the horizon for the East Side, for Channelview ISD? You already told me you got some things in the work, but give me 1 year, 2 year, 3 years down the road.
Yes. So we just launched our strategic plan 2028. And so that strategic plan is really what's evolving over the next couple of years. We've sort of outlined sort of 7 critical goals around what we want to accomplish by 2028, and that's everything from continuing to advance our CTE model to enhancing community engagement. That's a major part of what we're doing, and just making certain our community.
It is. I'll just say it is very noticeable what y'all are doing in that realm. I'll just say not only from my perspective, but from my family that lives in the area.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that feedback, because we cannot do the work we do without the support of our community, and we're in an unincorporated area. And so the school district really does carry the weight of ensuring that the community elevates together. And so that's on the horizon. We're also, of course, continuing to enhance our literacy model. And then the last thing that I'll share is that we are really working to build ambassadors for public education. And so that goes far beyond just Channelview ISD, but it really speaks to what we need to do together as public educators to ensure that we continue to protect just the public education system in Texas. And so we're doing our part to assist with that as well.
You're creating public ed advocates in
That's
the community
correct.
and in the
Yes.
schools. I love that. And one thing that I stress with boards that I know and colleagues, sometimes there's a question about, is we're paying these people too much money, or this is, and I always tell them the same thing. I said, you know what? Is there a price that you're going to put on how well your school district does? And talent costs money. It costs money in every other sector of life. You start skimping, you start not paying people to do this job, particularly when they're a talented person, your district will suffer. You will go, and that 50,000, whatever it is, I don't care what it is, will never be worth it. Go find you somebody talented, keep them, and pay them what they're worth and what they deserve, and you will flourish. You start skimping, it'll fall apart on you because there's not a lot of talented people. So all my people in Channelview, I know all of you, give him what he needs to be successful, the resources, the support. You don't lose good superintendents. You don't lose good head coaches. You keep those people, right? So, man, I'm very excited. And as you can tell, I love the East Side. It's near and dear to my heart, and I want it to do great things. So I'm excited that you're there, and I appreciate you joining me for the show. And I can't wait to see what's on the horizon.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. Thanks for all that you're doing. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Is there anything you want to shout out? Where would they, if go to the website, any socials you want to shout out while we're here?
Sure. So definitely encourage you to follow us, Channelview ISD, on Twitter, on Facebook. We're also, of course, online. And so definitely look us up and follow us.
If you want to go to a great district, hey, this man's doing some great things, and you can see the joy in the kids and the teachers. So I can't say it enough. It's a great district, great leadership. And if you like what you hear, what you see, subscribe, like, share, and be a part of the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Produced by Podcast Architects.